Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Today in this video I'm going to show you how you can create this weather application using Django and Bootstrap. Now let's do a quick demo. As you can see here, it displays result based on the city name, right, which is London by default. You can search for city by filling this form. So if you just search for another city called Paris, get weather. So the current temperature in Paris is 6.85 degrees Celsius, and then if I search for Dallas, it's 22.26 degrees Celsius. Also, if you search for some city which is not valid, it displays an error, right? It says city test not found. Let's go to the home page. So that is how the project looks like. Now let's work on writing code to create this project from scratch. Alright, now let's create a new folder, right? mkdir, make directory. The name of the project will be weather app. Let's go inside the directory. And now we will need to create a virtual environment first. So the command is python -m venv. So the name of our virtual environment will be venv. Since I'm using Ubuntu, so the command for me to activate virtual environment is this: source venv bin and activate. So now virtual environment has been activated. As you can see here, it has been activated. Now we will need to install Django, so we can do it using pip install Django command. Oops, sorry, I need to give space over here. So that has been done. Let me just clear everything from here. Now we can create a new project using Django admin start project. The name of our project is going to be core followed by dot. Let me just open the project in my VS Code editor. Okay, now this is how the project looks so far. So that's the project. Now we will need to create an app inside this directory, so we can do it using this command: python manage.py start app, and the name of our app will be weather. All right, enter. As you can see here, weather app has been created. Now the first thing for us to do is register this app inside settings.py file. Let me just zoom in. So inside this install app list, we will need to register our newly created app, which is weather. Save it, and we can close the settings.py. Let me just see if the server is running or not. So the command to start the server is python manage.py and run server. If I refresh it, alright, so the server is up and running. Now we are ready to work on our project. Alright, now we will need to create some sort of URL. So for that, what we need to do is we'll need to create a file called urls.py inside our app folder, which is weather. And here we will need to import few things from Django. .urls, import path, and then from views import index, which we haven't created but which we'll be creating it in a bit, and URL patterns is equals to path, and then we will need to add some path over here, which will be a home page, right? So we'll just leave it like this for now. Index, which is a view function, we'll be creating it, and then the name will be index. Just leave it like this for now. And we will need to register this URL in our project over here in the core project. Inside core project we have urls.py file. Here we will need to include the newly created URL. So here first we'll need to import from Django.urls, import path and include, and then path empty, and then here include, we will need to include weather, which is the name of our app, weather.urls, right? So the weather is name of our application, the name of our app, and then URL. So we're including this URL in our project. Now if you remember, here I have imported this index view. So we will need to create index view inside our app. So now index request, so this is function based view, and over here we'll simply return a template, return render request comma, so the template is inside weather folder, and then the name is index.html. Now we will need to create a template, a new folder called templates, and inside templates folder will be the name of our app, which is weather, and here finally we can create our HTML file. Let me just say, hey, this is me, just to test it out if this is working or not. Also let me restart my server. Yep, that works. Our project demo. So whatever data you are seeing over here, the temperature, description, humidity, wind speed, right, all this data are being fetched from external API, which is from this OpenWeatherMap.org API. So we'll be using this API in our project. So in order to do that, first of all you'll need to create an account, right, which I have done already, and then you'll need to go to this API, and over here click on this API doc. So this is how we do API call. The URL, if you want to search using latitude and longitude, you can do it, and the API key, you need to generate the API key as well. So if you go to your profile, there's a section called My API Keys. And you'll see your API key, right? If you want to generate a new key, you can simply click on this generate. If I say testing, and so that's how you can create your API key. After uploading this video, I'll just delete this API key from my account so that you won't be able to use my API key. You need to create your own API key for that. So now moving on, go to API, right? Once the key has been created, go to API, click on API doc. In our example, we'll be using this API call. Also, we'll be adding some sort of parameters. So the parameter will be units. If you want to display your temperature in Celsius, you can use metric for your units value, and if you want to display the result in Fahrenheit, you can use imperial, and the default is Kelvin. If you do not use anything in your API call, the default will be Kelvin. In my case, I'm using the Celsius, so I would need to include metric unit. All right. Also we will need to include this CDN in our project. As for the time of recording this video, the latest release of Bootstrap is version 5.3, so we're using that version. Okay, now let's work on adding a form in our template. So let me just copy these two CDN links and paste it on our code editor. All right. So this is for bootstrap.min.css, and that's for bootstrap the bundle.min.js. So that should work. Okay, and inside our body we'll be having some few bootstrap classes called container. The first one will be container, and then h1, the class is text dash center dash dot my dash 4. So that's the title, right? That's the heading. And now we'll be having a form container class. Form container, inside this we'll be having our form inline. These are all the bootstrap classes. Justify content center, and then here we'll be having some input, right? Input, the class would be form dash control. We'll be having margin, few margins as well. That's input, and then let's add a button as well to submit the result. Button with the class of btn dash primary. Alright, and the name of the button will be get weather. Okay, let's see if there's any error so far. Refresh it, it works. Adding a placeholder, enter city name, and also the most important one is the value. So the value would be request dot gate, because we need to gate whatever a user types over here, right? So that's the value. And now if we go to views.py, and over here we can do city is equals to request dot gate, right? And then city, and the default one would be London. The default value will be London. All right, API key, we'll need to pass the API key as well. If we go to my profile in OpenWeatherMap, here I have got the API key. You just copy it. Sorry. You just copy it and paste it on your code. So that's the API key. And now we'll need to pass the URL. So URL is equals to f string, and over here we will need to pass we need to do our API call. So like I told you before, go to API, and over here you have current weather data API doc. If you scroll down, you can use this API call. just copy it and paste it on over here. So instead of ID we are using city, right? So this is city and app ID will be the API key, API underscore key. If you want to query using the city, so you go here, you scroll down, which is this, right? Q is equals to London, which is city. Since we need to make our API call dynamic, we are using city over here. So instead of this city, we'll just pass Q, query parameter. And also, if you remember, there was few things optional, right? There were few things optionals like units, and we will be using metric because we want to display the temperature in Celsius. So what you can do is, here you can add few code like this. Units is equals to metric, okay? You don't have to worry about it. I will pass the link to this API call and link to the Bootstrap CDN in the description as well, so that should be fine. And now finally we are ready to query, to write some actual code. Now we will need to create an empty dictionary, right? Empty dictionary called weather data is equals to empty dictionary, and we also create another variable, error message is equals to none. So that's the variable, and now we'll be performing some sort of exception handling. Try response is equals to request dot get url.json. Now I'm getting error with this request. I will need to install this package as well. So what I can do is oh, there's an error, it says invalid syntax. That's because we don't have except over here, but you don't have to worry about it. Let's work on fixing this error for now. So we'll need to install the package called request, pip install request. All right, that looks good. Also we'll need to import request over here, so let's import it, import request. Yep, so the error is gone. Now instead of, let me just remove this try for now. We are not doing any sort of exception handling. First I want to show you how to get data from this API. So I've added the breakpoint over here, which is a debugger in Django, right? And go to your browser, refresh it, and here you would need to, so now here you can write code on your terminal. If I do URL so that's the URL. As you can see here, the value is London, right? Because that's the default value, and you've got your API key and everything. Now if I do weather data, which is empty dictionary, request dot get URL, if I just write request dot get URL, press enter, the response says 200. Yeah, so you can do response is equals to request dot get, and then we pass URL over here, URL, and then what you can do is .json, because we need the JSON value. Now if I do response, so that's the result we get. Okay, that's what we're using in our code. As you can see here, the data, we have got weather is a list, right? And then here you have got the temperature as well. Temperature should be over here. There's wind, there's the name of city, and there's a lot of things, right? So we'll be playing around with this data, and then we'll be displaying the data in our application. So let me just close it, remove the breakpoint from the code, and now if response dot get cod, sorry about that, dot get cod is not equals to 200, right? If it's not equals to 200, then we raise value error, and then we write a text message that would be city not found. Okay, first I want to show you how to debug the code, and then we will be working on adding the code here. So if I refresh it, now we can go to the terminal. So this is what I like to do. First try to understand how to do the code, and then I will be writing the code in our code editor. First we'll be using the terminal. So now the URL, that's the URL, right? So that's the URL. If I write response here, that was the value we got before, right? Now what you can do is you can query it. You can do response main, and then if you want to play around with the temperature, if you want to get temperature from this result, what you can do is, so there's the temp, right? So there's main, and in the main you have got the temp. So what you can do is temp over here, right? Temp, enter. So that's how you get the temperature. All right, if you want to get the say humidity, so what you can do is response main, and then humidity, which is over here. Here inside main dictionary you have humidity, right? And you press enter, the humidity. If you want to get the description, all right, this one is slightly different. So what you can do is response of weather first. So that's okay, I missed. Okay, see, response of weather, and it's a list, right? So what you need to do is response of weather of 0. Okay, and now you can write description. So that is how you get data from this JSON. So we'll be doing the same thing in our code editor now. You close it, you close the debugger, and then here we can remove breakpoint from the code. Can remove it. Now let's carry on. Weather data is equals to city will be city, right? City will be city, and then temperature will be response main, and then temp. So that's the temperature. And then if you want to get the description as well, description will be response of weather, the first one, and then we need to get description from the result, description, right? And then the humidity is the same thing, response of main, and then there was humidity, if I'm not wrong. Also let's insert speed as well. All right, we want to take the wind speed as well, not speed, but it should be wind speed. Wind speed will be response of wind, and then there's speed as well. Okay, so that's how we insert the value in our dictionary. Now let's do one thing. We will be doing some sort of exception handling. So this will be a try. So that's the try block, and over here we'll be using except if there's any error, value error as E, we need to error message is equals to string representation of E. Alright, the error message is over here. Okay, now we need to pass these two values, the weather data and error message, to our template as a context. So which can be done like this. Weather data will be weather data, and then the error message will be error message. All right, I believe the code for views has been done. Now let's play around with our template. Now I want to display the error message in our application as well. So what you can do is we can add some condition, if error message, if error underscore message, if there's any error message, then we'll be doing div, let me just go here, div dot alert so will be the error message will be in red color, right? Also let's add a role as well. Role is equals to alert. So this is all bootstrap classes, these are all bootstrap classes, and here we'll be printing the error simply like this, error message. All right, that has been done. Else if, right, else if we have weather data let's end this block as well. If there's any weather data, then we want to display it with some styling as well. Jumbotron dash custom dot margin top is 4. So inside this we want to display those things. Let me just copy it for now, because 2 3 4 there's 4 results I believe, and here will be strong as well. Let me just copy it. Here we're just trying to display the result, like the temperature, description, humidity and speed. And here we will be doing weather data dot temperature. Let me just copy this as well. Okay, so instead of temperature, this will be description. Oops, my bad. All these things need to go inside the paragraph tag, not here. Let me just cut it and then paste it over here. Okay, and let me just delete these things from here. All right, so this one is for the temperature. So this is for temperature, this is for the description, this one's for humidity, and this one is for speed, wind speed. And this is description, then this is humidity, and finally this one is speed, wind speed. all these things are coming from here, the temperature description, humidity and wind speed, right? Now let's see if it's working or not. Go to our browser, refresh it. Okay, there's an error. The reason why the parenthesis after JSON, if I refresh it, alright, the error is gone. So that's the default value, the London. If I search for another city, say Edinburgh, no, let me just go with Paris. Weather, that didn't work. Okay, let's remove the accent from here. We don't want any accent. Instead of accent, let's just do form method is equals to get, because it's a get request, right? That's what the project is all about. It's a get request. Let me just search for Eric now. Didn't work. Refresh it. Do it again. Didn't work. Okay, the problem is I missed name here, so because the name is city. My bad, sorry. I need to add name is equals to city as well. Now if I refresh it and search for Paris, that works, right? If I search for some other city, Dallas, get weather, that works. Here I have included this CSS, Jumbotron custom text align center, because we want to display this thing in the center. If I refresh it, so the result is appearing in the center. Now we just want to display the button over here. Alright, let's do a couple of fixes here. So first, the bottom type is submit, and then here instead of form inline we'll be using d-flex, and then here we will be using margin end, not margin right, but we'll be using margin end 2, and then width will be auto. That's the London weather. And then if we also, let's add some sort of text over here that displays for which city is this weather. If we go to our code editor, and here we can write some text. S2 current weather in weather data.city. Let's see what happens. If I refresh it, now it says current weather in London, and that's the result, right? And here if we search for, say, other city like Texas, the weather in Texas is 22.97, which is quite good. And Sydney, in Sydney it's 21, but in London it's so cold, it's just 5 degrees. It's alright, it is what it is. So that's the overall project. So that is how we can create a weather application in your Django project. That's it for this video. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.